Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're talking about the Carolina Panthers versus Miami Dolphins Week 10 matchup based on analytics. Each week, I collect all of the current 2017 NFL team data in order to analyze and project potential NFL performance. And since it's a weekly collection, there's always going to be some variation in terms of different variables due to injury or due to coordinators or just any given Sunday. However, there will always be little nuggets of truth that could become bigger nuggets of truth as the season continues. So stick around as I analyze each week's matchups based on analytics. And if you're new to the channel, all terms and definitions will be in the description. So looking at this matchup between the Carolina Panthers and the Miami Dolphins. When you look at the NFL stat basic comparison data, and the basic comparison data essentially looks at how the offense is doing, how the defense is doing, and how the special teams is doing. And based on all that data, it favors the Carolina Panthers. So let's get into some reasons why. Now, first off, there are some areas that the Dolphins are better. The Dolphins are better when it comes to turnover ratio. They don't turn the football over as much as the Panthers. That's one of the biggest Achilles heels of the Panthers is their turnover issues. The Dolphins also don't allow as many sacks as the Panthers have had, which is another sort of issue that they have. However, despite the Panthers having issues with turnovers, despite the issues that the Panthers have in terms of sacks, they still are very good when it comes to offensive score percentage. So essentially, the Panthers are able to put up points while the Dolphins are not so good at putting up points. So ultimately, that's kind of how you say it. Advantage-wise, I would say the offense of the Panthers has the advantage because it's simply like this. You win games if you put up more points than the other opponent. And I hate to say it's as simple as that, but data-wise it is. So just even though the Dolphins are good in terms of turnover ratio and they're good in terms of sack percentage, they just don't put enough points on the board, and they're not close enough to really say that to give this to them in terms of offensive data. Now, when you get to the defensive side of the football, the Panthers are also a little bit better. Better when it comes to defensive offensive score percentage. They're basically better in terms of preventing points. They're better when it comes to sacks, especially very high sack rate or sack percentage for the Panthers defense. But turnovers is a little bit more with the Dolphins, and interceptions is more with the Panthers. But neither one of these teams creates turnovers that much. So, but ultimately, that's kind of what this data kind of looks like. Now, when you get to special teams data, so looking at punt return yardage, kick return yardage, defensive punt return yardage, and defensive kick return yardage. When you look at punt return yardage, it more so favors the Panthers. Kick return yardage more so favors the Dolphins, and defensive punt return yardage and defensive kick return yardage favors the Panthers. So defensively speaking, Panthers are most yardage data. I would say Panthers are favored here. Panthers also favored when it comes to field goal percentage, extra point percentage, and punting average. So I would give the special teams advantage to the Panthers as well. So for the most part, the Panthers are better on special teams, the Panthers are better when it comes to defense, and the Panthers are better on offense, but they do have issues with turnovers and they do have issues with sacks, which could be something in this game if the Dolphins are actually good in terms of turnovers and good in terms of sacks, which they're kind of iffy in terms of that factory. So that's something to kind of think about in this particular game. Now when you get to some down and distance data, so things like completion percentage data and run down data and all the other kind of stuff. When you look at this particular game, Carolina Panthers versus Miami Dolphins, the Panthers are favored here in terms of first down situations, second down situations, third down situations. Now, the Panthers aren't amazing in terms of completion percentage, but they are better than the Dolphins' defense. So that's kind of the biggest thing to kind of take away here. Then, of course, you get to the Miami Dolphins offense versus Panthers defense when it comes to completion percentage. And in this respect, the Dolphins are better in terms of first and second down situations. Then, of course, you get to rushing downs. Carolina Panthers offense versus Dolphins defense when it comes to rushing. And in this respect, the Dolphins are a little bit better in terms of second down and third down situations. The key down and distance to kind of watch is first down. The Dolphins haven't been the best in terms of stopping first downs from happening on first down with the run. And the Panthers are fairly good at getting first downs on first down with the run. So that's probably going to be one key matchup to kind of see what happens. One little chink in the armor has been happening on first down for the Dolphins' run defense. Then, of course, when you look at the Miami Dolphins rushing offense versus Panthers rushing defense, in this respect, the Panthers are favored here in terms of second and third down situations. Then you get to passing downs, Panthers offense versus Falcons defense, and the Panthers are actually favored here. And again, this is more so with just how poor the Dolphins passing defense is. And again, it really has more to do with the inability to prevent first downs from happening with the pass. Dolphins have just not been that great on first, second, or third down, and the Panthers haven't been amazing either, but they are better than the Dolphins, which is the main point about all this. Then, of course, you get to the Dolphins offense versus Panthers defense when it comes to passing downs. And in this respect, the Panthers are favored here in terms of first and third down. Then, of course, you get to sack rate of the Panthers offense versus Dolphins defense. In this respect, I'd say it's pretty even here. The Panthers have the advantage on first down. Second down more so goes to the Dolphins. And then third down is a pretty even split there. So this is going to be kind of an interesting matchup to see in terms of those downs and distances, especially second down for the Dolphins. Then, of course, you look at sack rate for the Dolphins offense versus Panthers defense, and the Panthers are favored here on first, second, and third down especially. Dolphins have one of the worst third down offenses in terms of allowing sacks, and the Panthers are pretty good in terms of getting sacks on third down. So definitely a down and distance to kind of be worried about if I was a Dolphins fan. Then, of course, you get to interception ratio. Panthers offense versus Dolphins defense. In this way, the Dolphins are better here in terms of first and third down situations. And then finally, you get to the Dolphins offense versus Panthers defense. And in this respect, the Dolphins are favored here in terms of second and third down situations overall. So ultimately, just to kind of wrap things up, I would say I have to go Panthers here. The biggest reason why is, again, this Panthers team isn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But I see this game similar to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. The Buccaneers were a team that had a defense that was not very good in terms of points, good against the run, like the Dolphins, bad against the pass, and doesn't really create a lot of turnovers or sacks. The Buccaneers are the worst defense, I will say that. But this just kind of comes together to say that the Panthers struggle. Like when the Panthers implode, because they really do implode, whenever they play a defense that is able to create turnovers and create havoc and get sacks, they don't do very well. Whenever they play a defense that doesn't do that well, when they can't really get sacks that well, and they don't really create turnovers that well, they tend to do okay against those teams. And I think this is one of those games where I think the Panthers will do fine against the Dolphins defense. And I think the defense of the Panthers will have some success against the Dolphins. And ultimately end up with a Panthers victory here. So that's kind of how I feel about this game. And of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.